Hello and welcome to S24 TV News. Here are the top stories at this time. Media accreditation opens online ahead of FCT 2026 ball. Serap demands action on 6 trillion naira NDDC ruling. Dangote announces nationwide petrol price drop to 739 naira per litre. Nigeria submits bid to host 2031 African Games. Hello once again, I'm Zainab Bala. Now the news in detail. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has commenced online accreditation for journalists and media organizations intending to cover the 2026 Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections scheduled for Saturday, February 21st, 2026. In a notice released on Monday, the Commission said the accreditation exercise is open to all interested media organizations wishing to deploy journalists for the election coverage. INEC explained that applications must be submitted through its official media accreditation portal, which will be accessible from Monday, December 15, 2025 to Sunday, February 8, 2026. The Commission warned that delayed submissions would not be considered, stressing that the portal would automatically shut down at midnight on Sunday, February 8, 2026. For many, construction is simply about buildings, but for Sam Mohammed, it is about transformation of both landscapes and lives. In Magori, a stone cutting hub in Kilifi County, this determined entrepreneur has carved a place for herself in an industry once dominated by men. Our correspondent Samira Adam Usman brings us Samu's journey in the quarry business.
For many, construction is simply about building, but for Salma Mohammed, it is about transformation of both landscapes and lives.
Nilipoingia hapa ilikuja iona hii ardhi ni sehemu ambayo inachimbwa mawe ya kujengea nyumba. Ndio alokuwa akifanya. Lakini katika hali vile tulivyokuwa tukiangalia na kazi za kina mama kulikuwa hakuna, ikabidi nasi tuanze kuingilia zile kazi za kufanya ile kazi ya kuchimba jiwe.
In Magorani, a stone cutting hub in Kifeli County, this determined entrepreneur has carved a place for herself in an industry once dominated by men.
Benefit ya hii kazi tumeona iko na manufaa vizuri sana. Na iko na manufaa. Nyumba tumejenga za block wenyewe huku, una shule yetu ya karibu ambayo ndio yasoma watoto wetu ambayo iko bahari. Hiyo ilikuwa iko very rough na imejengwa na jiwe la kulifanyia kazi kama wazazi wakaaji wa huku.
With precision, skill and resilience, she has not only built a thriving business, but has also paved the way for more women to enter the trade.
In the year 2020, could hardly notice any woman in the quarry sites. But as per now, where we've reached, there are so many women who are working in those sites. So when sourcing for building blocks, building stones, we sourced from Magorani. And before, you could hardly see any women in those quarry sites. But as per now, the number of women has greatly increased. And this is so inspired to see women actually stepping up in the construction field. We see a lot of women who are actually taking up those positions. And moving forward, it will actually be nice to see even entire sites that are managed by women only.
Her journey from a lone woman in the quarries to a respected leader in stone cutting is a story of strength, innovation, and community impact. Samira Usman Adam, S24 News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to take firm and decisive action against unconstitutional changes of government in the sub-region. Speaking at the 68th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government, the President said the evolving security threats confronting West Africa demand a united and coordinated regional response. He warned that the region's increasingly porous borders make collective action unavoidable, stressing that no single country, regardless of its size or capacity, can secure lasting stability on its own. President Tinubu described West Africa's security, prosperity, and resilience as shared responsibilities that require consultation, unity of voice, and coordinated action among member states. Elsewhere, the Kano State government has issued an executive order banning a group known as the Independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah, declaring it illegal and a threat to public peace. More details, our correspondent Zainab Ibrahim has more.
The Kano State government in Nigeria has issued an executive order banning the Independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah, a group deemed illegal for operating outside official authority. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf signed the order on December 8, 2025 under Section 5(2) of the 1999 Constitution.
Kano State of Nigeria, Gubernatorial Executive Order, Kano State Government Prohibition of Independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah Order 2025. Whereas the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, particularly Section 5, Subsection 2, based in the governor the executive powers of the state, including the maintenance of public order and execution of state laws. And whereas the Kano State Hizba Board law establishing the Hizba Board as the sole and exclusive body authorized to coordinate Hizba-related functions within Kano State. Whereas it has come to the attention of the Kano State government that certain individuals and groups are undertaking recruitment, mobilization, and organization of persons into a body described as independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah without lawful authority and in of Kano State. And whereas such conduct of recruitment, mobilization, and organization of persons into a body described as independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah, creating federal unauthorized enforcement structures within the state constitutes an unlawful act capable of disturbing the peace and undermining statutory functions of the Hizba Board.
Security agencies like police, DSS, and NSCDC receive directive to investigate organizers, halt activities, and prevent unrest. The public must disengage from the group and report contact to authorities.
The formation of independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah is declared unlawful, and it is prohibited from operating or carrying out any activity in the state. And any act done in furtherance of such independent Hizba Fi Sabilillah is hereby declared unlawful, illegal, and void. The Kano State Hizba Board shall remain the sole legally recognized.
This move addresses concerns over threat to establish Hizba system. Zainab Ibrahim reporting for S24.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, to immediately enforce a court judgment ordering the publication of names linked to the alleged misappropriation of 6 trillion naira in abandoned Niger Delta Development Commission projects. The judgment, delivered on November 10, 2025 by a Federal High Court in Abuja, also directed the release of the NDDC Forensic Audit Report, which covers 13,777 projects executed between 2000 and 2019. The court ruled that the documents are public records and not exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. In a letter dated December 13th, SERAP warned that continued failure to comply undermines the rule of law and exposes responsible officials to contempt proceedings, stressing that court judgments are binding under the Constitution and must be obeyed without exception. Now, in a recent discussion on the state of Nigerian politics, a prominent voice called for a return to value-driven leadership, but with a modern twist. While emphasizing the need for a break from the mercantile, transaction-based politics of today, Dr. Nuruddin Mohammed asked the Nigerian a more balanced approach, focusing on key issues that impact the everyday Nigerian. Here's the report.
I still believe we need the value-driven politics, not of the quality we used to have then, but even abridged version. What we have now is too mercantile, I would say. It's transactional. So there's too much transaction. So we're not saying go back to the old days, but let us negotiate some irreducible minimums. Like, for example, let us educate all our children. Yeah, let us make sure nobody dies because of they cannot afford medicine. Not the big machines, drugs. Yeah, so let's agree that any drug, no matter how expensive it is, if there's a drug you'll give to a human being and they will not die, let us accept that as irreducible minimum. Let us accept that people cannot be killed or herded like cattle. You know, the way you rustle cattle, you rustle human beings now in northern Nigeria. Yeah, so at least let's us have this barest minimum, and then we can do the transactions everywhere else, right? Yeah. So that's the pragmatism and scholarly talking about. Yeah, let us have this. Let us be reasonable.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) says it recovered 37.44 billion naira and $2.3 million in 2025 through asset seizures and forfeitures. The ICPC chairman Musa Aliyu disclosed this at the Commission's end-of-year engagement, saying the agency investigated 263 cases, filed 61 in court, and recorded a 55.74% conviction rate. Aliyu listed major convictions during the year to include that of Professor Cyril Ndifon of the University of Calabar, who was jailed for sexual harassment and cyberbullying offences. On prevention, the Commission assessed 344 MDAs, tracked 1,490 projects nationwide, and expanded public enlightenment programs, as Aliyu urged staff to maintain professionalism ahead of 2026. Moving on, a housing expert says Abuja's affordability crisis will persist unless the city confronts long-standing distortion in land valuation and tackle the role of corruption in real estate investment. Engineer Hashim, in an interview with S24, revealed that the lingering belief that Abuja has no oil and that land serves as its substitute continues to inflate costs and encourage speculative development, leaving many luxury properties unused. Take a listen.
Interestingly, some argue that Abuja's rents are even outpacing Lagos. Do you think Abuja can borrow affordability models from Lagos or learn from Port Harcourt, still relatively moderate pricing?
Abuja can also adopt affordability innovative initiative, and if they can do that, they can get it. The issue is that some of them are having this statement that Abuja has no oil. What is the replacement of oil? Is land. So if this notion is still lingering in the brain of people, then the affordability model is going to be normal. You understand what I mean? And the investment concept of other people, where you see a lot of development around the corridor, but not put into use. You understand? But maybe because of so many myriads of factors, maybe corruption, investment, and other people and other concepts like that, people build a lot of mansions, but nobody is still there. They put it for investment. Some they put it to hide a lot of money. You understand? To keep some money for their own reason, and others they use it for hideouts, and so many reasons actually. So if corruption will going to be eliminated in the process, and the genuine intention to tackle any problem is still there, I think we'll arrive at any problem.
You're still watching S24 News. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is news on S24. Moving on, founder and president of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has announced that petrol prices will drop to 713 on Tuesday, with initial rollout at MR stations in Lagos. Speaking at a press briefing, Dangote said the refinery had already reduced its gantry price from 828 to 699 naira per litre. Dangote urged buyers and members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria (IPMAN) to purchase fuel at the lower gantry price, adding that multiple truckloads will be available to maintain affordability. He also criticized some filling stations for deliberately keeping pump prices high and questioned why prices were reaching as much as 900 naira, despite local transport costs being just 10 to 15 naira per litre. And on the foreign scene, ECOWAS has warned of targeted sanctions against anyone obstructing Guinea-Bissau's return to civilian rule after last month's military takeover. The warning came at a summit in Abuja, Nigeria, focused on recent coups in Guinea-Bissau and a failed attempt in Benin. ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliu Touare said the bloc's peacekeeping force in Guinea-Bissau is authorized to protect political leaders and national institutions. The regional bloc condemned both coups and noted prior disruption in Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Niger. Elsewhere, Australia's leaders have agreed to tighten gun laws following the country's deadliest mass shooting in nearly 30 years. The father and son opened fire at a Jewish festival at Bondi Beach, Sydney, killing 15 people, including a child. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese convened state and territory leaders who agreed to strengthen background checks, ban non-nationals from obtaining gun licenses, and limit the types of legal firearms. Authorities are investigating how the Bondi shooters, reportedly with possible links to the Islamic State, obtained their weapons, raising fresh concerns about gun access. And in sports, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has expressed strong dissatisfaction with the standard of officiating across the Nigeria's football leagues following recurring complaints of poor refereeing decisions. The concerns were contained in a communique issued after the NFF Executive Committee meeting in Abuja, where officials reviewed several domestic football matters, including the performance of match officials. The assessment comes after Nigerian referees were excluded from the list of officials selected by CAF for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, scheduled for December 21, 2025 to January 18, 2026. On improving standards, NFF General Secretary Dr. Mohammed Sanusi disclosed that the Federation has advised government authorities to equip stadiums nationwide with video assistant referees infrastructure to bridge the technology gap and enhance officiating quality. Nigeria has officially submitted a bid to host the 2031 African Games, signaling its ambition to stage Africa's premier multi-sport event nearly 3 decades after hosting the historic Koja 2003 Games. The bid was presented during high-level engagements with the African Union Sports Council, highlighting Nigeria's experience in organizing major continental sporting competitions. Officials say recent international championships hosted in the country have delivered measurable gains in tourism, hospitality, job creation, support for small businesses, and increased global visibility, strengthening Nigeria's case to host the Games again. And that's it on news on S24. But before we go, here's a quick recap of our major stories. Media accreditation opens online ahead of FCT 2026 ball. Syrup demands action on 6 trillion naira NDDC ruling. Dangote announces nationwide petrol price drop to 739 naira per litre. And Nigeria submits bid to host 2031 African Games. And that's about the size of our package for today. I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for watching.